Hi, I'm Dr. Howard. Yesterday we classified foods as being carb donors, protein donors, and neutral foods. In today's Protect Your Brain episode, I'm going to tell you about carb limits. Here's where a carb limit comes in for me. If I eat a meal that is made up of both protein donors and carb donors that are sufficiently balanced to keep my blood sugar steady, with or without some neutral foods in the meal, then my blood sugar will respond normally to eating the meal as if I were not a diabetic, providing the total carbs for the meal does not exceed my carb limit, which is 50 grams of carbs in a meal. Otherwise, my blood glucose will spike with a diabetic response pattern. Because my carb limit is low for my height, if I plan to design meals that will permit me to have a normal blood sugar response, I need to eat either 4 meals in a day, with each meal providing less than 50 balanced carbs, or 3 meals in a day, with each meal providing less than 50 balanced carbs, plus several balanced snacks that are spread out through the day. To my way of thinking, eating 4 meals a day that don't spike my blood sugar is much healthier and safer than taking medication. As a side note, if the carbs in a meal are not very close to being protein-carb balanced, then the carb limit will be lower for that meal. In addition, carb limits are specific to each individual. For example, my friend, whom I've mentioned before and who is not a diabetic, but has insulin resistance, also has a carb limit, and hers is lower than mine. She can safely eat a meal that provides a maximum of 35 grams of balanced carbs. Fortunately, she is shorter than I am and requires less food. 4 meals a day that have protein-carb balance easily provides her with sufficient food. 3 meals don't quite provide her with sufficient protein unless a couple of protein-carb balanced snacks are added as needed within a 24-hour window. I don't know yet which comes first, having a carb limit or having symptoms of prediabetes. I suspect that a carb limit may be one of the earliest symptoms of a blood sugar problem. What I don't address later in this series about carb limits will be addressed on my website at www.neurocalibrate.com, www.neurocalibrate.com. Of interest to dieters is that a person gets satiated with less food when a meal has protein-carb balance. It's as if the body wants the balance and will make us continue to eat in the hope that we will ingest a sufficient quantity of balanced food. If not, we'll eventually stop eating when we get too stuffed to eat any more food. I suspect that I gave you more than you ever thought you wanted to know about carb limits. However, knowing about them is important in case your blood sugar control ever gets unstable. This way, if you want to live comfortably as you get older and maintain clear thinking and brain function, you can think about if you might want to start taking care of yourself with a reasonable level of food balancing now, before your options are reduced to the point that healthy meal planning can get difficult. Bless you. I'll be back tomorrow.